Hello and welcome back, adventurers, to another episode, another session. We're successfully out of warp drive. We're locked into orbit around our latest celestial, and we're in recharge mode on our reactors, so it's time to stream. Sorry it took me a bit longer to click into it than normal. I was setting up a thing on the side. I'll get into that here in just a second. So basically we got a couple things going on. One last thing, as I'm kind of running behind. Command called me back at like the very last second, so I had to go do a few things before I could, just kind of remotely before we could get into this. Doesn't look like anything's really changed on the Sov map. Okay, that was about the only thing that I didn't check. Aside from that, so last week, or rather the other day, we went and did some PvP in the Corvette and the Amarr Imperior, and it didn't go badly. It didn't go great, but it didn't go badly. And honestly, it gave us a real feel for exactly how, just kind of how it plays out. It gives you a really good idea of exactly where your skills stand and where your weapons stand too in the game, in something as low level as that. And even in something as low level as that, what you could even do if, say, you're just literally stuck with nothing, absolutely nothing. There are many easier ways to do it, but that was just kind of an example. A way for us to kind of break the ice in the ship tree, the long winding ship tree that is EVE Online, the CCP has implemented. As an aside too, we also went ahead and checked out the EVE Discovery a little bit, just to kind of poke around on that at the very end. Just to kind of give us an idea of like what that's all about, and ISK making opportunities there as well. This time, however, after the news, we're gonna be getting into we're gonna be getting into doing some Amarr frigate stuff. Now, as I kind of said last week, I want to kind of focus on one ship at a time, and then move on to the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and start a poll here, and it's going to last for about 10 minutes, so through most, or at least a good portion of the news, and we'll see kind of where it goes. It's only 5 of the 6 Amarr T1 frigates, but feel free to see. There we go. Okay, now it's working. It should be up. Feel free to vote on your favorite ship, what you want to see. It's going to be up there, like I said, for a while. I'll check the results at the end, and hopefully, we'll get into whatever everybody feels most, like they want to know the most about. If not, I'll pick one. I've got 2 in mind already, at least in my head, but I just want to see what everybody else wants to do and kind of go with that flow. Beyond that, there's not much else going on other than CSM. We can finally start voting for our CSM, and I'm actually going to start there. This is going to be a graphic. Let me go ahead and just flip over. There we go. Okay, so this is a graphic that Brave designed, the Brave guys designed in our announcements. I guess Dunk specifically listed the announcement. I'm just showing you the graphic rather than the full-on announcement, so hopefully I don't get dinged for it. But for those of you that have never done a CSM ballot, you get so many you get so many points, essentially so many slots you can put, and your candidates that go in like the top 3 or the top 5 are the most likely ones that are actually going to be able to progress forward and actually potentially get a seat. Excuse me. For those of us that maybe don't have a super firm idea of what all the candidates are, a lot, or what they stand for and such, a lot of your big block kind of higher ups, you know, executive team, they tend to throw out things like this. I'm sure Horde's got one. I'm sure Goons has one. Brave, of course, does one. We do one every year. So for those of us in Brave, those of us that are not super in the know, you know, this is kind of our, I guess you could say, placement. You don't have to follow it to the letter, but this gives you a pretty clear idea of essentially where High Command for Brave essentially stands on who they believe should get which spot based on what they know. And then they're going to be a little bit more closely, you know, their ear is going to be closer to the ground on this kind of stuff than maybe perhaps your average player or line member, what have you. The only thing of note here is, aside from Jinx being, you know, getting the number one, or should be put at least, or at least highly considered to be put at your number one slot, I would probably put Mark Resurrectus from number 6 to number 2. As a wormholer myself, there weren't too many wormhole candidates. Candidates like specifically looking out for wormhole space. So those of you that are very interested in it, whether it's you live there like we do at Spoopy Newbies, or perhaps maybe you day trip there all the time and you're just super nomadic in wormhole life, you probably want to put Mark Resurrectus a little bit higher on this list, even if you hail as a nullseeker. I would strongly put him at least number 2, maybe even number 3 if you really have a strong number 2 that you want to put there. Beyond that, a lot of these other guys, you know, you've got Torvald here, low sec faction warfare. I would probably put him at number 2 or number 3 as well. To be honest with you, he's been trying to run for a couple times. I think he might have gotten the last one. Don't quote me on that. He's a big faction warfare guy, big low sec. He's also dealt a lot in Pochvin, Triglavian stuff. So realistically, he should probably be a little bit higher up there. I can't disagree with really any of these, because like I said, I haven't personally gone like super far into this stuff. I went a little bit deeper into Jinx's side because Jinx is a part of Brave, but by and large, I just didn't have the time to read through everything. So this isn't really necessarily bad, but I know that if and when I vote, you know, I'm probably going to follow this to some degree and change it up just a little bit. So change it up to your taste. This is Brave's take on it. Jinx at number 1, Ithaca Hawk at number 2, Pandoralicia at number 3, Angry Mustache at 4, Luke Nyan at 5, Mark Resurrectus at 6, High Wanto Destroyer at 7, Arcia Elkin at 8, 9, Torvald Uras, and 10, Stitch Caneland. So yeah, there you go. I'm gonna move that off to avoid any OPSEC. Please let me move. Thank you. To avoid any OPSEC shenanigans. There we go. And bread. Poor guys. They want bread. All right, let's get into the next thing. Let me pull this out, or pull this down a little bit. So we got Anger Games Proving Grounds Round 3. For those of you that have been in the know, let's see here. This is actually a slightly different article. The Abyssal Proving Grounds are home to some of the most dramatic, entertaining, and energetic PvP action New Eden has to offer. And for the 11th of June only, they are open for an event that is perfect for new pilots and nostalgic veterans that like a unique challenge. If you're new to EVE Online or still to taste the thrill of Proving Grounds combat, this is the event for you and your starter ship. And if you've put hundreds of hours into mastering competitive play, It's time to prove how skillful you really are by showing what's possible with a classic Corvette and a friend. Well, look at that. 2v2 for Corvette combat is the focus, meaning diving into the action at the helm of one of Eve's most basic, underpowered spacecraft, the Corvette that is every Capsuleer's first class of ship. The result will be fun and frantic in equal measure as pilots join this Anger Games special, and thanks to the 2v2 nature, you'll be working side by side with an ally. Another reason this is the ideal time for new players to take a trip to the Proving Grounds. Still haven't got your first Corvette? Pick one up for free at any Citadel or station. Yeah, I know, I did, didn't I, Misa? So yeah. This Proving Grounds round is open to Imperator, Ibis, Velator, and Reaper hulls. Furthermore, fleets entering this round can only include one of any specific Corvette hull. All ships that enter will also receive a bonus that doubles the benefits gained from overheating the following module groups: tackle modules, propulsion, repair, resistance, energy warfare, turrets, and launchers. Ships that join the action are limited a maximum of one fitted local repair module, shield, or armor. Pilots will also be restricted to meta 0 modules. Additionally, sensor dampeners, weapon disruptors, shield boost amplifiers, shield rechargers, and shield power relays, shield flux coils, and core defense field purgers are all banned in this event. Wow. Maybe bullet points, guys? That's a lot to read. Want to join in with the action? Then pick up some Proving Filaments and get yourself over to the Proving Grounds on the 11th of June. As ever, the Proving Grounds leaderboards will allow you to track Capsuleer performance through the event, and make sure not to miss out on the main Anger Games tournament action. You can keep up with the full schedule here and watch live on CCP TV from now until the 12th of June. And for those of you that need a refresher on exactly when that is for this weekend, the 11th of June will be the Winners Bracket Round 4, Losers Bracket Rounds 5 through 7. The stream will be starting at 1700 and matches start at 1715. And on the 12th of June is the semifinals, Losers Bracket Finals, and Grand Finals, a stream starting at 1645 UTC. Matches start at 1700. So a little bit earlier on the finals, or the semifinals and grand finals. So it's kind of interesting. Did this finish? It did. Oh wow, we've got like a 1 across the board. Oh no, there's still time to vote on that. Looks like there's still a little bit more time if you guys want to go ahead and vote on which frigate we should start with later on after the news is done. But yeah, as far as Anger Games goes, there you go. So get going, you know, get checking it out because it's promised to be fun. Oh, it just ended. Okay, so we got the Punisher, Magnate, and Executioner. Oh, good. I was actually thinking about the Punisher or the Executioner as first, so maybe we'll just do like a dice flip or something, or I don't know, a coin flip or a 8-ball. What would I do to break that tie? I don't know. All right, so let's go into the next one. This is the Rewards of Democracy vote in CSM 17. Democratic Capsuleers. Voting is now open for the 17th Council of Stellar Management. So head on over to the voting page and cast your vote for the candidates who will best represent your interests in New Eden. Be sure to check out the details of each candidate to make an informed decision before 1100 UTC on the 14th of June. All Omega clones with an account that is at least 60 days old are eligible to vote in the elections. To celebrate the CSM institution, both Omega and Alpha Capsuleers will receive daily gifts as a part of the Rewards of Democracy login event. You can get your hands on a sizable set of skill points boosters or add the Council Diplomatic Shuttle to your collection. We even have a new skin for it. They did? I'll need to double check that. In addition, during the election week, you can grab a 20% discount on 1 month and 12 month Omega in the New Eden store. Log in, cast your vote, and don't forget to claim your gifts before the 14th of June. Every vote matters, so understanding how to vote is important. For more information on the CSM voting process, check out the video below, and they have a video. So check it out if you don't know how to do the thing. Remember, only Omega pilots, only Omega accounts can actually vote in the CSM. That is an important distinction. So if you're an alpha, you cannot vote. So yeah, that's it for that one. The only other thing of note is earlier today, it ran across my Twitter notifications from Zkill that a Leylips was destroyed. I think that's actually earlier today. Yep, that was earlier today. 233.5 billion ISK. A lot of ISK. A lot of ISK. So we got the, I mean, basically it's the hull. The hull is going to make the biggest part of it. Looks like they did a Caldari Navy rapid light missile launchers. And that was probably the biggest one in the high slot, or the most expensive in the highs. The low had a Pith A type multi-spec hardener, and that was the most expensive one. The second most expensive was an Estimels modified EM shield amplifier. None of those dropped. That's disappointing. Or sorry, that was mids, not lows. Apparently I can't read. Yeah, ouch, big ouch. So yeah, that was the most expensive. Aside from that, it looks like they had a whole bunch of other stuff in here. A yurt mobile depot. Their most expensive thing in the cargo was the anti-pharmacon toxot. I'm not even sure what that is, but they had it. It might be a drug. And the Leylips itself, of course, is 230 billion ISK on its own. So that was a pretty painful loss. But you know, I mean, it's an AT ship, so zero fun allowed is the corp that lost. I think that's the corp name. Yeah, that's the corp name. So congratulations to the people that took it down. I'm sure that was no easy feat considering the fact that there were 17 involved. That thing sustained a total of 50.8k points, I should say. Wow. It only dropped 1.3 billion worth of loot. Ouch. Total ouch. All right. That's pretty much it for that. Let's see here, and the results were those three. Let me go ahead and switch us over. Boop. No, it was not. But then again, Misa, I mean, like I said, it's the it was really just the hull itself was worth so much. I mean, it would have been nice if those mids would have dropped, because that would have really kind of sweetened the pot from the loot fairy, but you know, what can you do? So how are we gonna break this tie? Do another poll. I will actually save I'll run over all three of them real quick, but I'm gonna go ahead and run up a poll for about 5 minutes. Let's see here, tiebreaker poll for ships. Punisher, Magnate, and I think it was Executioner. Yeah, Executioner. Okay, we'll do that. I'll just run it for about 5 minutes. That'll give me enough time to kind of poke around and see what happens. from that. Okay, so that's running. So feel free to vote on that. And we'll just go ahead and go through all three of them. That way we've kind of had that chance to look them over on the ship tree. As I said last time, you know, there's kind of a specific path. The lit up areas, the lit up lines shows you where you can go. As alphas, you can hit the Navy frigates as well. You can also, of course, go to the shuttle and go down to the haulers and that kind of thing. Now, as far as what we're concerned with, we've got, you know, we've got the frigates, the Amarr frigates specifically. And where is it doing? Yeah, okay. So we've the three that were actually voted upon. We've got the Punisher, we've got the Executioner, and we've got the Magnate. Now, excuse me. The big one, the Punisher. This one is essentially your powerhouse ship. This is your prime PvP for Amarr, pretty much. It's the one a lot of people go to. It's also really good for PvE. It has a wide range of capabilities. And the reason for that is because of its bonus to all armor resistances. It does have a reduction in small energy turret activation cost, but it is just activation cost. And keep in mind also, these bonuses are per skill level. So for my character specifically having a level 4 in Amarr frigates, that means that this should all be times 4 if I'm not mistaken. Or yeah, like so 4% times 4. I believe that's how that works. I believe that's how that stacks. I could be wrong on that. But that gives you kind of an idea of how that works. So if you look here, you can see, well, we can't see the attributes because we're not actually in the ship. But we'll go ahead and go into what it looks like in simulation. As we can see on the simulation, you know, we get quite a bit of capacitor. Excuse me. We get 4 turret hard points and 4 empty high slots, so we can just outfit them all with turrets. We've got 2 mids, and then we've got 5 lows. We also finally get access to rigs with 400 points of calibration. So it gives us quite a few options as far as fitting out a Punisher. There's no drones, there's no drone bay, there's no drone bandwidth. It is a bit of a slower ship because it's kind of bulkier, it's kind of heavier. It does have a pretty decent cargo hold, but not as good as some of the others. Like I said, we'll get into that here in a minute, if that's the one that ends up winning. Let's back out of this. The other one was the Executioner. Executioner is a bit of an interesting ship in the fact that it's got a roll bonus, 80% reduction in propulsion jamming systems activation cost. So this is really like your first dedicated tackling ship. While you see a lot of people tackling in Punishers, that's more or less for survivability, to hold down, you know, to hold down your prey, the enemy ship, while your friends come in and help you kind of, you know, blow it up. But the big thing about this is that this doesn't rely as much on resistances and bonuses to that. As you can see, it's got a bonus to small energy turret damage and a 10% reduction in small energy turret activation cost. So this is really where you're going to see this particular ship having the ability to go in, hold something down, keep it at a specific range, and just really hammer away at it. Now you might be thinking, well, this doesn't make any sense, Larazio. It doesn't have any bonuses like the Punisher does, and to armor resistance. And there's a reason for that, because this is actually a faster ship. Faster ship allows you to do what's called sig tanking. So as you can see, like right here, oh, we got a magnate. Okay. Well, then I guess we're going with the magnate first. Looks like that's what won the poll. So, yeah. Like I said, as far as the executioner goes, it's got a higher base maximum velocity. It's also got a lower align time than the Punisher. And in fact, I believe it's actually the one of the T1 Amarr ships that has the lowest align time and the highest speed. And the reason for that is, like I said before, this is the hull that's actually used when you... Can I click that? Okay. Cool. This is the hull that's actually used as the baseline for things like the Malediction and... What was the other one? The Crusader. Yeah, the Crusader and Malediction. So that's kind of where you're going to find that. Now, with the Executioner itself, it's got 3 turret hardpoints, but it's got 4 high slots. It's got 3 mids and 3 lows. So you really want to outfit this thing for speed more than anything else in order to avoid the fire. Remember how we were talking about turret tracking in the last kind of area, last couple sessions with the, you know, with the Corvettes? I can't think today. This is why. Because this thing is designed to essentially outmaneuver the tracking of your enemy's turrets. Now, you obviously want to make sure that your turrets don't get outmaneuvered as well. So you want to do what you can to increase turret tracking and still be able to hold down your enemy and still be able to deliver those blows. Again, this isn't really necessarily a ship that you're probably going to be making kills in unless you've outfitted it specifically, and you can possibly maneuver that. But it's definitely a ship that will hold down other ships and allow you to really just hammer in assistance. It's a great assist ship, especially for T1. And we'll get more into that too. Like I said, obviously the oh, I clicked on the Malediction by accident. Obviously the one that was chosen was the Magnate. The Magnate is a very interesting ship in and of itself, and I'll go ahead and just close the ship tree at this point. To start off with, it's got oh, you know what? Before I get into this, one thing I didn't check out with the Executioner, and I do apologize. Does it have... It doesn't show me. I didn't check. Okay, it also does not use drones. So that was kind of the other big thing, is I was curious if it used drones. No surprise that it doesn't. Most of your Amarr ships do not. Okay, so with the Magnate, now the Magnate is kind of like the Heron, like the Probe, I believe it's called, for the Minmatar. What's the Breacher? Slasher. Yeah, the Probe. The Galente have... Which one was it? I don't see it a whole lot. Imicus. That's actually the one I don't see. I see the least, probably. So like them all, the Magnate in specific is Amarr's specific premier T1 exploration, you know, explorer ship. The upgrade to the Magnate is going to be in the covert ops section. That's in the Anathema, and I probably said that wrong because I'm really good at saying things wrong. Big thing about this is the bonuses for the Amarr frigate that it gets is a 7.5 bonus to core and combat scanner probe strength, and it gets a 5% reduction in salvager duration. And that's actually a bit new. We haven't seen that yet. We also get a 5% bonus to relic and data analyzer virus strength. And that's a roll bonus, so that's just that's not going to be like any kind of stacking thing. If we want to do that, we're going to actually have to go into things like attribute, not attributes. like implants and such, you know, fitting your head out for things like that, or better modules. Another thing that helps out with that is, there's the catalog. Where is it? Scanning. So like your archaeology gives you more coherence, or virus strength, I believe is what that one is. Hacking gives you more on that one as well. So just as kind of an idea and kind of an aside. Now, as far as the magnate itself goes, and this is kind of interesting, you get 2 turret hard points, you get 3 empty high slots, you get 2 launcher hard points, you get 3 empty mid slots, and you get 4 empty low slots. It is a bit slower on its align by default, and it's a bit slower in its maximum velocity by default than like the Executioner. And it's got, again, a decent amount of capacitor. Amarr ships rely heavily on their capacitor, which is probably their biggest downfall just because of how they are. Now, with the magnate not being bonused for combat, that makes it harder for it to do combat related things. That not necessarily impossible, because it's got turret and launcher hard points, but it doesn't necessarily give it the same kind of oomph. Now, interestingly enough, it does get quite a bit of cargo hold, and it gets some drone bay. It gets some drone bay love. 40 cubic meters, and 15 megabits a second. So you can hold 3 light drones, or you could do, say, 1 medium and 1 light. I don't know why you would want to, but you could. And I think that's might have been something I mentioned in the past. So as far as like what kinds of things you would want to do with a magnate specifically, like I said, magnates are best suited for exploration, hacking, and data and relic sites. Your typical fit for a magnate, let's see here, we'll go to community fittings because that's where it's going to be at the best. Your typical one is going to look something in the realm of this. You're going to use your gravity capacitor upgrade, which is going to give you increase to scan probe strength, so you can essentially nail down sites faster. You can, and this one will actually fit 2 before it fills up its entire calibration. Gravity capacitor upgrades are very expensive as far as calibration goes. It's just like the Tech 1 version is just highly expensive. Tech 2 makes it impossible to fit 2 of them, just with how they are, at least on the small side. It should say, yeah, because it uses 300 calibration. So 300 of your 400 points is used up by the Tech 2. And on top of that, you only get a bonus of 15%. 2 Tech 1s would give you 20 total. So it's actually not a better deal to do a level 2 or a Tech 2 in this regard. Also, you get a micro warp in this case, which will up your navigation to a little bit over 3 kilometers, 3 kilometers a second, or your speed. Keep in mind, it does really mess up your line time. If you take it off, as you can see, your line time does go back down. Big thing, relic and data analyzers. Now, for me, it's going to show that my access difficulty bonus is 15%. My base value, the base value is at 5, so my 2 points in archaeology, I think is what it is, or 3 points, kind of up to this. The coherence, base value is at 40. Again, archaeology upped that to 70. Virus strength, base value was at 20. Being in a magnate, we're at 25. Interestingly enough, virus utility element slots is 3. Now, interestingly enough, also, like if you put this into a different ship, you're going to get a slightly different bonuses in some cases. The element slots also change based on whether or not you're using like what kind of analyzer you're using. There's actually like a Zeugma analyzer, and I believe there's a Frostline Clavicule one, and they only have like 1 or 2 slots, so it's something to look into and consider. But it's really like not something you should probably do right away, especially if you're low skilled in that regard. They're usually better suited for those that have maxed out, like gone to level 5, which takes a long time, by the way, on each date hacking and archaeology skill. But it is well worth it if you want to be like a dedicated explorer. The biggest thing, like I said, with this is that it is an explorer ship, but that's not really what we're testing. We already know it's an exploration ship. So what we want to do is see if there's a way to make this work somehow else. Now its defense, I mean, is there an easy way? There we go. Strip fitting. Yes. Okay. So our real question is, how do we make this thing work for us in the way we want to? I mean, it seems weird to think, well, let's take it on a mission. Let's take it out for, I don't know, like a combat anomaly or something like that. But realistically, why wouldn't you? It's a ship just like any other. It's one of those things that, and also really, if you run into a combat situation, you also need to be able to defend yourself in this ship in order to get away, in order to work with it long enough to get away with whatever you have. Excuse me. As a ship that is mostly designed around exploration, it's very hard to choose how to do that. Your best defense against something, against getting ganked, is just to never get seen and caught. Like, just be vigilant of your surroundings. But in the event that you do get caught, or maybe you're trying to catch somebody, what kinds of things actually would work out. So let me I just realized I was still had my stream beats playing for us, and you guys can't hear that anymore because it's done. All right. Minimize that. Oh wait, no, I need that up. There we go. So yeah, really, it's just a matter of figuring out, like, what do we... Oh, okay. Tormentor memes. So yeah, like, how would we fit this up? What would we do? And why would we do it? That's kind of the big thing about this one. So, like, if you're fitting this up true to its name, if you're fitting this up to help, the big thing you can't do really is you can't like do an expanded, well, I guess you can do an expanded probe launcher. And we have tried this in the past where we fit an expanded probe launcher and we tried to do something with the salvager module where we tried to find like drones or salvage or whatever. And that didn't really work out for us. That didn't bring us to where we thought. So it's kind of strange that it has like a salvager duration reduction. I mean, something like that would easily work, but then we don't have a whole lot of room for much else. But again, it's a matter of finding stuff, right? So, like, if you're dead set on using it as, say, a way to hunt down someone and pin them down, you'd probably want to do, say, that. Let's do. Can't do that. Can't fit any of that. It actually can't fit a cloak. There's only a certain type of cloak that it can fit, like the prototype and the improved cloaking too, but you can't use them while you're moving. Tractor beams. It could do a tractor beam, but that doesn't do you any good unless you're tractoring in something like a wreck. You'd be looking at like a newt, probably like a small. It might be able to fit a medium. Nope, cannot fit a medium. Maybe a nos, which could be interesting. I don't think you can fit a medium. Yeah, so you'd be doing like a couple of small nos. So like you'd probably want to do. I would do Ghoul Compact. I'd do a couple of them. They don't leech a whole lot. But you might be better off with a neutralizer. Yeah. You'd want to do newts. The Gremlin Compact, for instance, which don't last very long, so that's interesting to note. Armor reps, massive tanks, smart bombs, scanning equipment. Do have the option of drone upgrades, but the idea, like, if you're pinning something down, for instance, you wouldn't do that. If this is the case, you would want to boost its target acquisition time, so you'd want to maximum range. But you want to have more than 42 seconds, otherwise they would be able to get away. And you also want to be close. Cap rechargers don't really do you any good. Maybe a cap battery. Can't do a medium, so you want to do a small. So that actually holds a little, pretty well. And then if I were you, I'd actually probably do an afterburner. You don't actually need to be you don't need to worry so much about actually compact would be better. Why I say compact, just to give yourself a little bit more umph. You basically need to make sure though that you're going to be able to like your cap largely depends on your sig tanking in this particular case. And then I would do could even do like a cargo scanner if say you're actually trying to look for something very specific in someone's cargo. I would probably try to fill it up with another small. It's over. So I wonder if perhaps maybe a couple of micros would be better.
Today's forecast. Pirate activity seems higher than usual. Please fly safe as you exit this station.
Oh, that really raises up the oh no, here we go. There's a oh no, no, that's it. Yeah, so maybe just a couple of cap recharge. Yeah, and then we could yeah. No. So we would have to stay with the small. And then maybe just try to utilize maybe a shield extender. Doesn't really give us a lot of room.
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
Here we go. Do like a warp scram. I think the scram. Yeah. Initiated compact, and then in this case, and from there, just go to the lows. Now with the lows, this is where you really would want to focus on, you know, speed. Not necessarily a line time, but perhaps maybe inertia. So that way you can kind of stay close, because you're going at almost a kilometer a second in this case. So things like literally anything that would actually help that would actually be better, with the aside of a damage control to give you just a little bit of extra power. And you might not even be able to do that. You might actually have to do like an IFFA compact. Heck, even a civilian would be better than nothing. Reactive. Okay, so you could do like a upgraded multi-spec, so at least you have a little bit more protection. It's not a whole lot. Actually, you want to make sure your drones get updated too. Hmm. I would try to do DDA if at all possible. That by and large can be a lot more difficult. Let's try to do compact DDA. And let's see if we can do damage control. I know that puts our power grid and our CPU up pretty high. It's like I'm getting that buzz that there's... Okay. But from here, to rigs, we're going to want to start with the engineering small. So like processor overclocking. So that doesn't really drop it down enough. I think we could do one or the other. Only if we did the tech too. However, I believe it doesn't raise it up too much. Okay, so it gives us the option of doing the compact drone damage amplifier, which is really good for us. So we can utilize that. And it also doesn't raise up our cost a whole lot either. Another thing we need to think about too is, you know, how much capacitor we've got. The ancillary is going to raise it up quite a bit. And of course it can't support that. So we might actually look into some drone rigs. See if perhaps maybe we can do the damage augmentator. It raises up CPU. And of course it doesn't support. But even still... I could do speed. I could also do durability, but that would be about the extent of what I could do. Okay, so in this case, I could do that, and then I could go into the low, and I could do electronics. And at that point, that's done, so...
Pilots, please be careful of the debris as you are undocking, and remember to turn your shield and armor.
Really just doesn't let me do a whole lot in this particular regard. I could, however, do that. Drop down to a 1. That could work. Okay. And then from there, I could fit an ancel. And there we have it. It would last exactly a minute, but it's got a little bit of damage. So then at that point, or for the drones at least, you just add your light scouts. If we're doing it for combat, this has already got hobgoblins in it. There we go. So our offense power is 37 DPS, so we would have to hopefully hold them down long enough to actually do that. Twitch is screaming at me to do the first ad of the night, so I am going to go ahead and run that real quick, and then when we get back, we'll kind of go from there and see what we want to do as far as like I mean, this is like a PvP setup, so we'll see if we can maybe make a PvE related setup after this. I'm going to go ahead and run this now. Okay. Takes care of that. And for those of you that don't have to worry about that, I'm going to go ahead and save this. We'll just do trial PvP. There. And then we'll remove all of this. Strip fitting. Okay. I believe it's done. Okay, yeah. Looks like it's done. So we should be back. Sorry about that. This thing is still really new to me, and I'm just trying to get rid of the pre-roll ads thing. So I do apologize. Because I know ads are annoying, no matter how you look at them. Okay, so now for the PvE side of this. This one's a little bit more tricky. Like I said, it doesn't have bonuses to attacking. So our bonuses have to come from our own skills and whatever modules we can fit onto it. And then how are we going to provide some tank for it? So our best bet as far as PvE goes, and this is actually something we could probably try right away. I like to start with, we'll do pulses. And we'll do,
Welcome to Cheetah Trading Hub. Please note that
let's do,
cameras in the local area.
I want to say, rate of fire is higher on the small. Which one has the higher tracking? Gatling. Okay, so the Gatling ones are the ones we really want. Can't do Gatling pulse laser 2. Oh no, I can. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. We'll also take a moment to fill up one of the missile hard points. At the same time, we could do this actually. This would be better Because this way we don't have to worry about our own turret tracking. Let's do.
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
CPU is lower on the ample light. I wonder what the compact. I think the compact just. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry. Arbalest does. Okay, there we go. And then this one's actually relatively easy. We'll still stick with the 1MNY afterburner, but I also want to go ahead and put in maybe not missile guidance on this one. It's also stable. At least it's stable right now. So let's go straight into the low. Let's see if we can increase.
Today's forecast. Pirate activity seems higher than usual. Please fly safe as you exit the station.
There we go. That's actually pretty good. Okay, and then we will do armor damage control. Actually, go ahead and do an armor repper. Enduring. The enduring will actually help us out a little bit better. I think that'll basically do that. And then we want to make sure that our power grid is holding. So we'll do an ensil. Let's also do capacitor control circuit 2, which might rise it up quite a bit, but this gives us quite a bit of capacitor to utilize and chew through. Actually, no, I take it back. Go back to our mediums. Let's go back to our engineering. That'll be enough to keep it stable.
Welcome to Jita Training Hub. Please note there has been reports of scammers in the local area.
And then we could do missile guidance. Just like that. Ensil 2, which is going to rise it up quite a bit. Actually, 2 Ensil 1's probably alright. Still not quite enough. Require 3 Ensils. Doesn't really sound ideal to me. We could do a 1 or a 2 and then a 1. And that would actually be okay. And then from there, that gives us a little bit of room. We can play around with some launchers. Missile damage. Player does. Blue load. No, can't. We could do.
Jitar Trading is not responsible for monetary loss due to local chat scammers.
Yeah. That would actually make a little bit more sense because then at least that pushes it out. And then it's just a matter of getting drones. Again, probably use, in this case, you probably want to use acolytes. Just gives you a little bit of punch. We're going to do precision.
Pirate activity seems higher than usual. Please fly safe as you exit the station.
Since we have this, let's do. I mean, you could literally use anything, but I'm going to go ahead and use Caldari Scourge. And that brings you up to having quite a bit of a volley and DPS as well. So realistically, it's not too bad. At 12 mil, I mean, we could do Molnirs, Burnos, you know, they all are going to kind of do the same thing. Scourge, Nova. The big thing, of course, is their max flight range, which is a little bit above the drones, or a little bit below drone's control range, and also a little bit below your own targeting. Excuse me. As far as the Gatling Pulse 2, I would probably throw a standard in there. No? Oh, better yet, do a conflag. That way you can get really close to them and not have to worry about anything, and still hit them as hard as you possibly can. So that actually kind of would just help your DPS in that regard.
Not responsible for monetary loss due to local chat scammers.
And then from here, do 500. 500.
Pilots are reminded not to engage in unlicensed XW schemes and that all items are sold.
Oh, that's why. I just need one. I can't read tonight. So I would say that if we're doing strictly PvE, this is probably the route we want to go to. And at 14 mil ISK, it is definitely on the pricey range. But I am interested to see what something like this can do. So let's go ahead and at least give it a try on the PvE side. PvP, this one's not as capable on its own. Oh, excuse me. So
When doubling your ISK, remember every ISK counts.
let's go ahead and give it a shot.
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
It's only cost us about 12 mils. That's actually pretty good.
Welcome to Jita Trading Hub. Please note there has been reports of scammers in the local area.
Okay, so now that we have our ship, we do want to test it out.
Pilots, please be careful of the defense.
I'm gonna rename this to Name Me. If anybody has the channel points, they can feel free to rename the ship. Now at this point, we need to find something to do, something to try out. So let's do exploration. We'll go to combat anomalies. I originally had
Remember every ISK counts.
pull up the combat sites chart. Okay. Agurustus Burrow is Nikuchi. All things considered, I think that's actually worth it to try. We got a hideaway, which is actually probably the best place to start. So let's set Desto there and let's go see what happens. This should be fairly easy, fairly straightforward, assuming. Excuse me. Wow, it's been a long day. I mean, I say that every stream, but because I do my streams at the end of the night, but it has been a long day. So yeah, we'll see if we can hit this and potentially. Wow, I'm lagging so bad. And potentially get through it without hopefully impeding upon somebody else. Let's go ahead and group the weapons. Let's do precision rather than range. And all these things are going to have to be turned on once we finally load through. I'm going to go with Nova. I don't actually remember what Caristas do. Or what they're weak to. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Go ahead and warp. Like I said, we'll start with the hideaway. We'll go over to the burrow, see if the burrow can actually, you know, it can survive burrow. Oh, neat. I didn't know they put those out. All right. There is somebody here already doing sites, so
Drive active.
we will head out and let them do their thing. There's two anomalies. Actually, there's That actually might be perfect.
Warp drive active.
Okay. And then once this part's done, like once we've kind of assessed the PvE capabilities of the Magnate, we'll probably go ahead and move on to something like I'll probably actually move on to the Punisher. And then Monday we'll actually have both the test on PvP. Okay, let's warp over here. I may have to go out a little bit just to find something tonight. What does our pulse look like actually? 15.3k online at this current point in time. So it's really not that bad. Okay, looks like I don't see anybody, so and this was the hideaway. Starts with 1. Okay, the same thing as always. Our big goal is just don't get hit, or try really hard not to get hit. We want to orbit as close and as tight as possible. That's only going to let us go so far. The drones are doing their job very well, I might add. Right. So yeah, I mean, it's holding up pretty well. Hopefully he leaves as opposed to just... Yeah, and he left. Good. As you can see, they're doing a pretty decent amount of damage just on their own. In this case, you know, the ships aren't able to keep up on their own. So now is when we would probably want to utilize some of our missiles and help the drones out. In this particular case, because with the hideaway, of course, they weren't able to... You know, they were able to survive for a little bit with just the drone's DPS, but... And we got a Dreadgurista Saboteur. Okay, so we got ourselves a pretty pricey spawn. And as we can see, I'm getting some E-War. You know, I sustained some armor damage. And this is actually where we want to be. This guy right here. So we did get some iridium charges, which are... and some Gurista Scourge lights. So those are actually helpful. The Dreadguristas tag, you know, I mean, so nothing really to write home about, but that wasn't too bad. So can this thing hold up? I mean, it can definitely hold up there. So can't say too much about that. The other one is the Guristas Forsaken Hideaway, which is probably already being taken. No, there's an Astero nearby, but I don't think they're taking that on. So let's go ahead and try the Forsaken Hideaway. That's essentially a level 3 in tier 1. There is not nearly as much. We actually would probably be able to do this without too much of a problem. Some frigates and destroyers, and that's about mainly it. Wreckers, plunder. It looks like it's been half done, so. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Orbit this. Wow, they're really hitting hard, aren't they? Ooh, they did not take long. But then again, I am coming in partially in on this, so. They are too far away. Also might help if I was actually sig tanking like I'm supposed to. Okay, now that I was able to pick up some speed, I'm not doing terribly. I'm not doing the greatest, but I'm still, I mean, I'm not doing terribly at least. Okay, the dire. All right, let's see how many of these I can target all at once. Let's make sure all the drones are attacking the same thing. Well, they just ate that alive, didn't they? All right. So yeah, as we can see, as far as PvE goes, the Magnate is really not suited for. It's got the PvP capabilities, or PvE capabilities rather, of the Corvette. Which isn't to say anything bad about it. It's just not suited for that. But that kind of gives you a higher level idea of exactly how the ship is built and kind of what its capabilities are, which isn't too much like it's not like what I expected that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I totally expected that, and that's fine. But that being said, there's a lot more that we can do with other ships in the Amarr frigate ship line. Let's see here. Yeah, just kill. Sure. So the one thing, I mean, the thing at this point is just figuring out, like, what are we going to do with the next ship? Now, like I said, the Executioner is a pretty interesting ship in its own right. So we'll probably go ahead and start there. As far as like actual combat capable ships, your Executioner is like one of the four. So you got the Executioner, Tormentor, Punisher, hang on, let me get to where I need to go to.
Drive active.
You got the Tormentor, the Punisher, the Crucifier, and the Executioner. With the Crucifier being a dedicated E-War frigate, essentially, for the Amarr. So you really only have 3 that actually do, like, that are, well, I shouldn't say do damage. They're, it's more like there are 3 that are, you know, that have bonuses to offensive capabilities more than anything else.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Docking
Okay.
permission requested.
Please note, sleeping in public places not allowed. Persons who are found sleeping in public areas.
So now that we're here, we'll start with the Executioner. And as I said, you get, you know, you've got 3 turret hard points. You've got 4 high slots, 3 mids, and 3 lows. With this thing being bonus to small energy turret activation and damage, that gives it the ability to kind of more easily utilize the energy turrets. Now, you've got 2 options. You could do beams, or you could do pulses. In this case, you'd probably, I would say, go for beams. Beams give you the ability to have farther range. No, wait, I'm sorry. You probably want to do pulses. There are a couple different ways you can fit out ships.
When doubling your ISK, remember every ISK counts.
And in this case, I would do, let's see here, turret tracking on the pulses. I think you need, I mean, if you're going in solo, you probably want to do the small focused pulse lasers. And then you also want to do something like a NOS. Because that's going to get you a range of 6,000 to 4,000. So you're actually going to be kind of working your way around that range. And in this case, like, your conflag gets you around that same area as well. With pretty decent DPS on top of that. For PvE specifically, and honestly, this is actually not a bad setup for both PvE and PvP. But for PvE specifically, you're going to be looking on sig tanking and survivability once again. Since this has propulsion jamming activation cost, I would do something like YS8 compact,
Pilots are reminded not to engage in unlicensed
and then do, where is it? Like a web. You can actually do a better web in this case. Fleeting compact, for instance. I think that counts. Maximum speed, yeah. Activation cost. Yep, just like that. And then we'll save the mid slot just for a little bit. We'll work out getting a damage control in there. Let's also work out for PvE specifically. If we're doing that, actually, we probably would want it to go a little bit slower. Okay.
Pilots are reminded not to engage in unlicensed
And then
and that all items are sold at sea.
I would do maybe a eye stab just to help out its speed a little bit, because we ideally want to be sig tanking anyways. It's honestly one of those things with, like, with this particular ship, if you're caught, you're kind of dead. So rigs are kind of going to be in the same boat. You've got armor rigs, which you would probably want to utilize. In this case, explosive damage, so we'd want to reinforce that. And you'd want to reinforce the kinetic as well, just to kind of bring that up and bring that more in line, to help you out. From there, you could do, say, maybe a Trimarch armor to increase its, or a bulkhead, which would bring its overall velocity, its speed down. Okay, we've got a little bit of time. That's good. From here, I would look at the energy weapon rigs and maybe see if you can do a collision accelerator, which we can, which increases its overall.
Remember, every disc counts.
Just like that. And then the only thing that's really left would be like
Please note, sleeping in public places not allowed. Persons who are found sleeping in public areas
just do
are treated
track. Oh, I guess you can't. Oh, actually, I'm already over, huh? Apologies. Now, in this case, you probably don't need the web. Just do this. And then you could just do, there we go, 2 optical compacts. And then from there, just do tracking speed. And it should be relatively easy to work with at this point. You just want to make sure you get in there close, and hammer away. Although your tracking isn't, oh, there it is. Tracking is 310. I was looking at damage per second. In this case, also, you're probably going to want to make sure you grab more than just conflag. Scorch will get you still pretty high. So I would grab Scorched conflag.
Please take extra care during our renovation works.
Grab some standard, just to make sure you've got a little bit of capability. And then some multi-frequency, because it's always nice to have.
Welcome to Jita Trading Hub. Please note there has been reports of scammers in the local area.
That's there we go. Conflag, Scorch. And 4.8 mil. That's actually not bad. We'll go ahead and get this, and we'll see how it works out too in the PvE setup.
Welcome to Jita Trading Hub. Please note
And we'll just kind of see how it goes. Probably go out a little bit farther this time.
Pilots are reminded not to engage in unlicensed ISK doubling schemes and that all items are sold as seen.
Okay.
Jita Trade Hub is not responsible for monetary losses.
Same thing. Name me. If anybody has the channel points to redeem, they are free to rename said ship.
Warp drive active.
Refuge. We got about 18 minutes before I have to. Like, I don't have a choice on that add button. We could try the hideaway. Go ahead and warp there. Give that a try. Okay. Kind of the same thing. We're gonna start here, see what happens. All right. I mean, these guys I don't even have to really move for, but as you can see, I'm doing a pretty good job of doing damage quickly to take them out. plunderer. And we did not get a rare spawn this time. Okay, so that was pretty much it. The hideaway just didn't produce much. I didn't even have to move for that. There is a burrow. And unless the coercer's doing it. Could be a vindicator. So let's go ahead and see what we can find out here. Yeah, coercer's doing it. So we will go ahead and head somewhere else.
Warp drive active.
Skill plans wasn't what I wanted. Okay, let's see if we can find. There's a refuge. That's a level 3. Actually, there's a burrow in a 1.0 system. Let's check that out.
Warp drive active.
A burrow would be really good, because that's a level 2. Or it's a tier 2.
Warp drive active.
Let's see here. This doesn't work. Looks like there's a couple of burrows over there. It looks like they've got an Algos there. That's fine.
Warp drive active.
Okay, let's see what we can find out on this one. Okay. Well, there's nobody nearby, and there's a burrow right here. Perfect. We'll go to this one.
Drive active.
Let's see what we can grab. With this being the tier 2, we can also get ourselves a really good idea of exactly how it's probably going to shake down for us. Well, looks like somebody already took out the initial defending fleet. Hey, Sarah, thank you for following. Also, welcome to the stream. That's too far away. What in the world? Heart. Heart, Sarah. Alright. There we go. Oh. Defending fleet's here again. Maybe it respawned. They're using missiles, that's why they're actually able to hit me. Switch over to multi-frequency. Oh, hey, thank you for the sub, Sarah. I appreciate it. It's good to see you again, by the way. I hope things are going well for you. Love you too, Sarah. Almost done with the med stuff. Okay, good. Things been doing all right down there for you in the Lone Star State. I know it's been rough over there. It's gross, yeah. Shoot him. There we go. Okay. Nothing too amazing there. Wicked weather. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's gosh, we got a huge downpour over here. Oh. I'm sorry. We're getting a lot of humidity over here too. But nothing like for 100-degree days. We actually, well, most of our stuff's just been rain. We've just been getting lots and lots and lots of rain. Here was a burrow. We want to get a refuge next.
Warp drive active.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So, were you sick with more like allergies or the flu, and that's why you had to do meds? Or I think I've been a little bit out of the loop on that one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I missed that part. Well, I hope it's going well. I hope you're recovering. That's not good. Refuge. Okay. Okay, good, good. Yeah, definitely DM me. Let me know what's going on. We'll set this to over here. This will be good.
Warp drive active.
Man. Well, I'm sorry about all your weather issues. I know that. That sucks. I guess it's June, so it kind of makes more sense to, you know,
Warp drive active.
to have that. Oh, yeah, and we're hitting an ad break time, so I'm gonna go ahead and click the ad, since we're en route anyways. Oh boy. Yeah. No, it's fine. Next time I'm gonna be shooting other pilots next week. So bye, Sarah. Love you. Have fun out there. Yep. Bye, Sarah. Go shoot some people. Good old Saragossa. Miss hanging out with those guys. All right, we have a refuge, which is exactly what we wanted. It's pretty far away. Let's go to the gate at Otuni and let's see what we can find. Okay, so as we know, the burrow, we did okay on the burrow. It didn't even reach our shields, which is good. Very good. So now we're trying a refuge just to see if we can actually manage. We were getting hit a lot with rockets, so this is one of those things where you probably couldn't take this ship out to go fight against Euresis because reasons. Rockets. Okay, they are close enough. Thank you, Nightbot. You're so nice to me. Algos, Hecate. Let's see. How close are they? I got a Caracal and an Algos. So maybe. Let's warp over there and find out. 'Cause that could be anything. Could even be that cosmic. Oh. Okay. Well, I guess that answers that question. All right, I'll just head over to the next system. The next system promised to have a few. Let's see if this shows me what they are. Yeah, there are 3 refuges over there. That's perfect. We'll be able to hit at least one of them. And if not that, then I'll add the waypoint to that one and we'll hit that one. That's got 4 of them. So this is perfect. A lot of pilots here. So let's warp over here. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, so we have our pick.
Warp drive active.
All right, so here we go in combat. We should start with some frigates and a couple sentry towers. Now, if I remember this, wow, we're far away. Why did we move far away? Let's just go to the next one. I might have hit the wrong thing.
Warp drive active.
Let's also line those up. Let's switch back to, let's actually do Scorch. Okay, here we go. We want to make sure that the sentry tower, the missile battery and sentry tower are targeted. Orbit this as close as possible. I am actually close enough. I will go ahead and switch to conflag. Go ahead and orbit that. Okay, and missing. Okay, so from here, now that we're orbiting something and they are trying to actually hit us with their weapons, as you can see, taking them on in this particular method, in this particular way, is proving to be the most beneficial. Like, this is a really good setup for just taking on these rats. We have a really good kind of structure out of the way to orbit at a close range. They can't hit us because our transversal is really high, unless they're using missiles. And even then, the missiles aren't doing a whole lot because we're leaving the explosion radius too quickly. Here we are. Let's see here. We don't have... I'm not seeing any destroyers. I'm surprised about. Oh, there's an alternate variant. That's why. I think we got the alternate variant. Yeah, because I just got an E-War on the one, so. There we go. Poof gone. Poof gone. Okay, and then this gives me 2 nihilists. It did not do much damage at all. Yeah, see, so they hit me pretty hard there. As long as I'm doing the loops, they can't actually do a whole lot of damage. But even still, this isn't actually bad. I mean, I'm taking on some damage, so I'd probably want to maybe swap out one of the stabilizers for an armor repper just to be on the more safe side. And even still, I'm not entirely sure that this is a full trial, because I think this has been partially run before. Just with the way that it's acting. But wow, it's really just not wanting to hit him. He's pretty far away too. Let's try to get a little closer. Try to finish this. Okay. So, not great, not bad. Go ahead and loot a little bit here just to see where things are at. You're obviously not going to find a whole lot, you know. Go ahead and warp to 0 and let this ship heal up. So as far as the refuge goes, it's doable in this, which is a substantial improvement to other ships that we've tried so far. So the Executioner definitely has some clout behind it, especially if you're able to kind of sig tank a little bit. You are still going to want to bring the only downside with this is that it's harder to sig tank against other frigates and destroyers, just because of how everything's using a small weapon. When you get into the medium range weapons, that's when you start running into the potentials of doing things like that. So like, I think the dens had one. Yeah, the dens, for instance, have a reinforcement spawn that starts with cruisers. So that's when you would want to orbit them tightly, things like that. This may not necessarily work because the damage output from like the frigates and destroyers are probably a little bit too high for this. But that kind of gives you an idea of essentially how the whole thing goes. You know, as far as just how this goes, you know, just how this in general can work. Now, we did manage to spare the ship, so we did a pretty good job. And I think that if we went any further, we would really run into problems. And honestly, you can find a Greased Den in high sec, but you're going to start finding them more in low sec before you get into the next things, which you'll find more in low and null. Which may just be something we have to try over in Brave Space. I don't know. We'll figure that out. You know, maybe one of those things that I've kind of hit the cap on that one. We just want to give that a try over there. And if that's the case, I've got pretty similar skills on my main that would apply to using frigates and stuff like that. But a lot of that, like I said, is really just sig tanking. Sig tanking is not something that I have a whole lot of information or experience on. However, it is something that I've wanted to learn because it can be super effective for a far cheaper ship. The only other thing we haven't really tried with the Executioner is running it through an Abyssal. I think we're probably going to find that like even in a T0, it probably could actually handle a T0 because you're going to want to do speed and tracking over anything else, so you'd probably want to fit it out specifically for that. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as just as far as the PvE side of these particular ships go. So what I'm going to do actually at this point is I'm actually going to go ahead and end early tonight. I am pretty tired. I helped some family do some real life things, and it really kind of wore me out. Mowing the lawn sucks in a lot of ways. But when we come back on Monday, we'll get into doing PvP on the Magnate just to give that a shot, and we'll also do some PvP on the Executioner to give that a shot as well. But until then, I hope you guys all have an adventurous weekend, and I will see you all in the verse. Oh, and before I forget, thank you to everyone who has supported and followed and liked and subscribed thus far. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. All right, have an adventurous day. I'll see you all in the verse. Bye, guys.